Nearly 5% of incarcerated people are innocent. That means 1 every 20 court cases an innocent person gets wrongfully convicted. Lamar Johnson was wrongfully incarcerated for murdering Marcus Boyd. On October 30, 1994, Greg Elking was visiting Marcus Boyd at Boyd's apartment when 2 men wearing masks and dark clothing ran to the porch and fired several shots at Boyd and ran away.
The 3 main factors that lead to wrongful convictions are forensic evidence, false confessions, and eyewitness testimonies. In the case of Lamar Johnson, the eyewitness, Greg Elking's testimony incarcerated Johnson. In-court eyewitness identification of a perpetrator is incredibly powerful to a jury. But sometimes, a witness's identification can be mistaken. In fact, eyewitness testimonies are the leading cause of wrongful convictions. Stress situations: an individual loses the ability to accurately observe and later recall the events, especially when a weapon is involved. Typically, a witness can recount the weapon but not the perpetrator. Our brains fill in details during situations to recreate a full picture, which results in inaccurate eyewitness identifications. The way in which investigators interact with eyewitnesses contribute to misidentifications. During lineups, police can unintentionally or intentionally influence witnesses through verbal and nonverbal cues directing them to choose a specific person. Greg Elking was bullied and coerced into choosing Lamar Johnson during the lineup. The only thing Elking was able to see during the attack was the perpetrator's eyes. Meaning Lamar Johnson was convicted of murder because he had similar eyes to the murderers. With a lack of concrete evidence, it is hard to understand why Johnson was convicted. Unconscious biased opinions, institutional discrimination, and limited knowledge in juries can lead to wrongful convictions. These variables make it hard for incarcerated individuals to be exonerated, but it's even harder for Black prisoners to be exonerated. On average, it can take 11.2 years for a white person's case to be reviewed, while it typically takes 14.2 years for a Black person's case to be reviewed. Why is this so? Currently, Black people make up roughly 13% of the American population, but 38% of incarcerated individuals are Black. Black people are 7 times more likely to be convicted of murder than white people, leaving it more likely that a Black individual was wrongfully convicted of murder. There is no single explanation for this huge racial disparity. It has several causes, all of which point in the same direction. The risk of eyewitness misidentification in cross-racial crimes. Black suspects and defendants are more likely to be the targets of police and prosecutorial misconduct. Black exonerees spent more time in prison before they were released than did white exonerees. Many innocent Black defendants encounter bias and discrimination throughout their ordeals. This institutional racism creates the racial disparities and allows greater margin of error in court systems, which can lead to wrongful convictions. Lamar Johnson was wrongfully convicted of murdering Marcus Boyd. He was incarcerated in 1994 and recently exonerated in 2023. He spent over 20 years of his life in jail for a crime that he did not commit. Unfortunately, this is a sad reality for many incarcerated individuals. Thankfully, there are practices in place that decrease the likelihood of a wrongful conviction. A double-blind procedure is when the witness and the administrator don't know which member in the lineup is the suspect. This procedure reduces the risk of bias. To decrease wrongful convictions, police should not offer unreasonable incentives to criminals in return for testimony if they intend to solve the issue of police informants giving false testimony. During the trial, Elking was offered money in return for his eyewitness testimony. This bribe, along with their intimidating tactics, put an innocent man behind bars. There were 233 exonerations. It would be ideal that wrongful convictions would cease, but that would not happen. It is inevitable that the justice system will have errors, so hopefully the time it takes to exonerate shortens.